Hi, everybody. My name is Lydia McVeigh. I am the Executive Director of the Virginia Club of New York. For those of you who haven't been to an event before, we do virtual events a few times a month on various topics, some educational, some social. We also are having social events back in person based in the New York City area and some around the area as well. So really encourage you guys to show up to more events. And with that, I'm going to pass it off to one of our board members, Azeezah, who has been spearheading this event.
Thanks, Lydia. Hi, my name is Azeezah Goodwin. I'm a board member with the Virginia Club, and I've also been a Sakara Circle member, which is Sakara's sort of like social media affiliate program. I've been with them for about 4 years, and we're really excited to have you guys at this event. I'm just going to give a quick roadmap of how tonight's presentation is going to go. So first, we have Sarah Boschung, and she is an employee at Sakara, as well as a member of Darden's MBA program. She is the head of community engagement, and she'll be giving us an overview of Sakara as a brand and their mission. Next, Sarah and I will speak a little bit about how Sakara has helped us incorporate plant-based eating in our lives and sort of how plant-based eating has become a greater part of our lifestyle. And then finally, the meat and potatoes will be a presentation by Sakara head chef Tyler Harvey, who will be walking us through how the meals are formulated, sort of from the ideation to execution, as well as Sakara's nutritional pillars, sourcing from local farms, et cetera, et cetera. And at the end, we'll have time for Q&A. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it to Sarah.
Thanks so much, Azeezah. I was just making sure I wasn't on mute. So as Azeezah mentioned, I'm Sarah. I'm the head of our client experience team here at Sakara. I've been at Sakara now for over 6.5 years. So quite a long time, kind of started at the very beginning. It's been really such a fun and exciting journey to watch how much the company has grown and developed over these last, 6.5 years that I've been at Sakara. And I know I can't see all of you, but just curious, like maybe you can throw it in the chat or raise a hand, but how many of y'all have heard of Sakara or tried Sakara? Do we have any Sakara lights out there? Oh, I see one hand. Juliana, Krista, and maybe, Lisa. Okay, awesome. Oh, awesome, Bree, new to you. That's great. Well, we are so glad. It's so nice to have a mix of people who are familiar. Oh, Juliana, you have the cookbook. Oh, I love it. That's awesome. Well, it's so fun to have a mix of people, both who know Sakara and those who are new to Sakara. We're so excited to share a little bit about who we are, what we do with you all tonight. And as Azeezah said, we'll have time for questions at the end. So any questions y'all have, we're happy to answer. So just to kind of kick it off, just to kind of anchor us on what Sakara is. So Sakara is a all organic, plant-based, gluten-free meal delivery service. We deliver ready-made meals nationwide, so deliver to every city in the contiguous US. I think a fun fact is we've now delivered to all 48 states, which is really exciting. And Sakara though is more than just a meal program and more than just a meal delivery service, but we also do products. So we have a whole Sakara shop where we sell different supplements and bars and granolas, which are meant to be both a complement to the meal program or sometimes people who just use our products as a standalone. And in addition to the meal program and the products, we also offer content. We really want Sakara to be kind of a one-stop shop for health and wellness, and a place where you can come and really get all the tools that you need to live the best version of yourself, whether that's through the meals, through the products, or as I said, through the content. So we have our online S-Life mag, where we have different articles and recipes that you can read about health and wellness. We have a podcast. I don't know if any of y'all have listened to the Sakara Life podcast. Highly recommend checking that out. Bring on different, speakers to talk on a myriad of different health and wellness topics. But really what we're all about too is engaging in community. And that's why, when Azeezah first mentioned the idea of doing this talk with through the UVA Club, we were just so thrilled because, you know, a big part of our mission is to foster community, and we really want Sakara to be more than just a meal program or more than just products, but really bringing people together who really have an interest in health and wellness, who want to live the best version of themselves, and, you know, kind of giving you the tools and the resources to be able to do so. So we're really excited to spend our evening with you. As I mentioned, you know, the real mission of Sakara is to transform people's lives. You know, that's what we're here. That's what we're about. Our two founders, Danielle and Whitney, who actually, funny enough, I'm in our Sakara office in Soho right now. And I don't know if you can see on the wall, but this is Danielle and this is Whitney over here, the two girls in pink. They are the two founders of Sakara. And, you know, Sakara was really born out of kind of a mission for them. You know, Danielle and Whitney were both childhood friends. They grew up in Sedona, Arizona together. And they each had their own personal struggles. For Whitney, she, you know, moved to New York City. She was doing, you know, working on Wall Street. She really started developing a lot of issues with her skin and had chronic cystic acne. And, you know, that was really kind of her issue that she was experiencing. And then Danielle, kind of on the other side, had moved to the city as well to pursue, she had been pre-med and then was pursuing some acting and modeling as well when she was in New York. And, you know, really was a chronic dieter, was trying all the different diets out there. So eventually she was doing this water fast that kind of led her, you know, to the hospital, kind of hit her rock bottom. Both she and Whitney kind of had these, you know, similar experiences where they were both dealing with these chronic issues and didn't really know where else to turn to. They had tried all the, you know, lasers and medicines and lotions and potions that you possibly could, all the diets, but nothing seemed to work. And so they ended up turning to the kitchen and they started preparing, you know, wholesome, you know, plant-based meals that were just really packed with, you know, superfood rich, nutritious ingredients. And they noticed over time that, you know, Whitney's skin started to clear up and you know, Danielle started to have more confidence with just kind of body image and weight control and all these things. And so friends would start asking them, well, what are y'all doing? And they said, you know, it's the food that we're making. And so they basically bootstrapped Sakara together. They hosted a dinner party for friends. I think they charged each of their friends like $30 to come to this dinner. They prepared dinner for them. They used that money to buy a domain name, and kind of that's when Sakara was born. And that, as you know, was about 8 or so years ago now. They were cooking meals out of their kitchen and pedaling around New York on their bicycles to deliver meals to clients. At first, we were just in New York, and now we have expanded, as I mentioned, nationwide, so to all 48 states. Contiguous United States. And it's been really, really exciting to see how, this whole program was just born out of a real mission, which was initially to transform Danielle and Whitney's life. And now we've been able to transform countless number of lives. And as the head of the client experience team at Sakara, I think one of the most amazing things is that, I get the honor and privilege of reading testimonials from clients every single day who write in and really talk about how Sakara has helped to transform their life. Whether that's something like giving someone more time in their day that can spend with, a loved one or, their children, to really healing themselves from a chronic, health condition. So it's been so powerful to see those transformations take place. And as it says here on the slide, really giving you the tools that you need to be in the driver's seat of your own health, so that you can really live your life to the fullest, for whatever that looks like for you. So I wanted to pause here, and as Azeezah said, kind of on the roadmap of tonight, wanted to have Azeezah share her Sakara story and kind of what led her to Sakara and how Sakara and kind of what Sakara has meant to her. So Azeezah, I'm going to hand it back over to you.
Thanks, Sarah. So I first encountered Sakara through targeted advertising. I was on Facebook and the Sakara ad came up, and I saw that a friend of mine had liked it or something. And I saw the beautiful sort of glossy images of like Danielle and Whitney, and they looked like they're having so much fun holding their like salads. And at the time, I was a first-year associate at a big law firm in New York. And I grew up vegetarian, so, you know, I wasn't unfamiliar with plant-based eating, but in the process of just grinding it out as a first-year associate, I was barely cooking, not to mention we got a lot of free meals for billing a certain amount of hours and staying late, which at first sounds really fun, but then, you know, you can only eat like zucchini fries so many times before gets old and you start to feel sort of crappy. So it was a bit of an investment for me at the time. I still remember, you know, I was like furnishing my apartment and everything, but I thought, you know, I really just want to feel better, and, you know, I don't have time to cook, so I'm going to get these meals. And another driving factor was sort of seeing it as a way to test drive plant-based eating, because growing up, I had sort of a negative perception of veganism or plant-based eating. I thought it was like really kind of crunchy granola, a lot of like raw celery sticks and things like that. But the meals looked really well thought out, really flavorful. And I thought this could be a good way to get some inspiration for, you know, kind of incorporating more plant-based eating into my life. Through ordering the meal plan, I got extra time because I didn't have to cook. I felt a lot better because I wasn't just eating, you know, random takeout. And it really opened my eyes to just how creative you can be with plant-based eating, how you can, you know, season things and flavor things such that you don't even miss the cheese or the dairy, which for me, I'm a big like cheese person, but you can like eat really great, healthy, flavorful meals and not even miss those things. It also taught me about the various ways you can get protein, which I think is a concern for a lot of people. I know growing up it was for me. And I used to supplement my diet with a lot of like sort of processed burgers, like garden burgers, chick patties. A modern day equivalent would be like an Impossible Burger. And there's nothing wrong with any of that. You know, a lot of it's very tasty, but Sakara helped give me a more whole foods approach to getting protein that wasn't so highly processed. So through the meal plans, my lifestyle shifted a lot. I'm, you know, no longer a practicing attorney, but through eating Sakara and trying out like their 10-day reset, for example, where you cook your own meals, now I have incorporated so much more plant-based eating into my daily life, even when I'm not on the meal plan. And I attribute a lot of that to the education I got through ordering the meals. They also put a lot of interesting sort of notes on top of the packaging, which I always really appreciated because I'm a nerd and I like to learn. So they don't just give you the meals and are like, here, eat this. They'll spotlight each superfood in each meal and tell you like what the benefits are. They talk about sort of like the background, the origin of like how, you know, we as humans came to, you know, start to eat this and value it and what it helps us with. So it definitely, I think the overarching theme was just, it helped me care a little bit more about myself and the food, and to see plant-based eating as a really positive and viable, right? In New York, like, you know, we're very hustle bustle, but as a viable way of eating. And with that, I'm going to pass it back to Sarah so she can kind of talk about her experience.
Yeah, thanks so much, Azeezah. I think so much of what you said really resonates with me and really is a large part of my story as well. But yes, just to kind of share with you all, you know, what kind of led me to Sakara and how I find it has been helpful for me personally, is, you know, I was fortunate that I was raised, you know, in a very health focused household, you know, grew up kind of drinking carrot juice every day and whatnot. But I will say, you know, as I got older and was kind of navigating just all the noise out there, I just feel like when it comes to nutrition, it's like you want to do what's best for you, but there's just so much information out there. You know, it's like you should be vegan, you should be paleo, you should be keto, and I feel like it was just a little overwhelming. And so I would kind of dabble in these different, you know, diets, so to speak, of, oh, I'm going to go keto or I'm going to go vegan, and I just found that it wasn't really sustainable. And then, you know, when I kind of understood the Sakara philosophy, which is, eat clean 80% of the time, but allow yourself to enjoy other foods for that other 20%, have the glass of wine, have a slice of pizza, like have an ice cream cone, and that's okay. And I think there's just such a freedom in that. I also think Sakara just kind of changed my whole perception on what it means to eat healthy. Like I said, I think I grew up eating very healthy, which I did. But, for me, healthy was an almond butter sandwich, some trail mix, and some healthy chip from Whole Foods, which is healthy. But at the same time, when I started working at Sakara and then started eating Sakara, I was like, oh, I'm missing like all these greens and all these superfoods. And that's a big part, as Tyler will get into, packing 4 to 6 cups of greens in every single meal. And so I'm really making sure you're flooding your body with all these like diverse nutrients. And I think it really just opened my eyes up to kind of a whole new way of eating there, where it's like, I want to focus more on getting those greens and getting a very varied diet and superfood rich diet. So that really has been, been so fun to get to kind of explore this new way of eating and be exposed to so many different new ingredients that I had never even heard of. And now, seek it out to incorporate that on my own, even when I'm not eating Sakara. So, as I mentioned, I think every single one of us has a story to share. And that's actually something we're really excited about, is kind of to do a whole feature, a campaign on kind of Sakara stories and really like showcasing just everyone's different journey, because everyone's at a different place. And, I think, everyone does have that story that they can share. And our goal is just to help you wherever you are on your personal journey towards health and wellness, to help guide you and help you get to where you want to be, whatever that looks like for you. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Tyler, who is, as Azeezah said, is our head chef. Tyler and I have been at Sakara almost for the same amount of time. We're some of the OGs here at Sakara. And I will just say, because Tyler won't say this, she is just the most innovative, creative master of a chef that there is. And so many of the meals that we have on our menu today are the brainchild of her and just her flawless kind of execution of them. So I'm excited that you get to hear from the master herself, and she'll kind of talk us through kind of what the meal process looks like at Sakara, what goes into the meal. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Tyler.
Thank you, Sarah, for that introduction. So nice to meet all of you. So today, as Sarah said, Sakara is multifaceted. We have all these kind of components of our business. We're really going to focus, or my presentation is going to focus on the fresh meals side. And just to dive a little bit deeper into what that means, and kind of some of the peeking behind the kimono of how it all happens and how these meals end up at your doorstep. So what does it mean to be on fresh meals at Sakara? First of all, as just kind of the bare bones, as Sarah said, we ship nationwide, and we also have local delivery. So we have kind of these two main delivery segments coming from our multiple production facilities. We offer a weekly subscription or a one-time kind of opt-in to our programs. We have a bunch of different available meal programs. You could do a 3-day, a 5-day. You can do different mixes across the meals. So you could get just breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The vast majority of our clients are on 5-day breakfast, lunch, and dinner, which is kind of the maximum weekly meals you can get. And certainly what we recommend in terms of really reaping the nutritional benefits of eating Sakara. And then, you can have some fun on the weekend and know that you're coming back to your home base. And then we also offer meal swaps and meal modifications. So at this point, for our subscribers, people can opt into meal modifications. So if they have allergens or they're trying to avoid some specific foods, and then we have offered some meal flexibility so that there's a little bit of flexibility within our weekly set menu. And we keep the flexibility somewhat limited, in huge part because our menu is nutritionally designed, and we really want to help keep those guardrails in place to keep people on track to feeling their best selves. So some Sakara Fun Facts. So average number of unique ingredients a week, 250. I'm wondering how many of you have 250 ingredients in your pantry. I actually might, in part because I do some of the recipe testing at home, but I would imagine it's a very small percentage of you, if any of you. So, you know, this is a huge part of, I think, the just uniqueness of what we're offering is the diversity of ingredients, which of course leads to the nutritional diversity, but there's just a lot there, and a lot that's held in our warehouses across coasts. We have 2 production facilities. So I am currently at our Long Island City production facility. It's about an 80,000 square foot facility. And then we have a smaller facility in outside of LA. And then primary vendors. So these are the vendors that we're working with like on a very regular basis, 50. So as you can imagine, with 250 unique ingredients, our supply chain is pretty complex. And that's primary. We have a much larger list of kind of like specialty vendors for some of our really unique superfoods. Number of recipes in our graveyard, 287. So you know, as Sarah was saying, like we're constantly turning out these new meals. We want to keep things really fresh and interesting for our clients. And like, you know, that means a lot of swings and misses alongside some hits. Number of active recipes, 173. So these are kind of like are performing really well with clients, production friendly. These are the ones that are kind of currently knocking it out of the park. Average number of meals per week, 65,000. We do tend to see some seasonal fluctuations, and we're quickly approaching our busiest time of the year. After Black Friday, we do our only sale of the year. And so as you can imagine, people get very excited, and then we see the effects of it on the production side in the weeks leading up to Christmas. And then number of departments in our flagship facility here, 6. So we've, you know, since Sarah and I have been at the company in 6 years, the company has experienced pretty like unparalleled growth in the food space, I would say. And so, you know, we went from really like me running a kitchen to now we have 6 different departments just in our production facility here. Oh, I think maybe this skipped ahead a little bit. Sorry. Let me see here. Oh. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Okay, so wanted to share a little bit about sourcing and sustainability. So 50 primary vendors, but you know, I think one thing that we have always tried to do from the very genesis of Sakara is try to really partner with people who are aligned with our mission and vision, and partner with vendors who are aligned with our mission and vision. So that means naturally looking to a lot of local organic farms. You know, as we scale, that becomes more and more challenging. And like some of our best partnerships have been with vendors that have really grown with us as we've grown as a business. We have 2 vendors in the Hudson Valley. One is a greens purveyor, and they have actually a warehouse in New Jersey, and then one in upstate New York, and then a mushroom vendor that we're working with in Hudson Valley. And both of these partnerships just kind of emerged from us seeking out, like, how do we find the best quality greens and somebody who's growing plants the way like we believe they should be grown. And their businesses have grown alongside ours. So I think that's been like one of the really, really rewarding and exciting things about being in my role is kind of like cultivating these relationships and really having so much confidence in the quality of ingredients we're bringing to clients, especially, you know, knowing the price point that people are paying for these special meals. and is just like not something you can even get in Whole Foods. These are really like these vendors that we have handpicked, hand selected, and oftentimes cultivated the relationships with from the very start. And, you know, so sourcing has been, and the way we're sourcing, like the quality of our ingredients, making no sacrifices around those choices have been a huge part of just our mission from the beginning, and just are so integral to the way that we think about anything we do in the production space. And then sustainability, you know, I think a piece of this is trying to be as local as we can, though, you know, the food chain is so complex and there's so much nuance to it. Our greens company actually did a study, their own kind of internal sustainability study, and they had a giant warehouse upstate in Utica, and powering their warehouse in Utica through the winter and shipping fertilizer from everywhere and getting it up and running, and sustaining it through the year actually left like a larger carbon footprint than shipping greens or trucking greens across the country from California and growing out there. So, you know, I think we are trying our best to understand like the nuances of the food system and make the smartest decisions we can. And, you know, I think that's again why like these vendor partnerships are so key, where we're working with people who are also trying to figure this out alongside us. And some other ways we're really thinking about sustainability, we aim to be zero waste across both our facilities. So we compost, we donate meals. We work with City Harvest in New York area, a couple other fresh meal companies that help like bring fresh leftover meals to people in need. We work with a company called Lunch on Me and distribute some of our leftover produce or meals to the Brooklyn fridges that exist around the city. And some in Queens. And then the last piece is packaging. So all of our packaging all of our plastic packaging is second use plastic. And we launched this year a partnership with a sustainability consultant to really dive into the nuances of current supply chain and try and continue to drive plastic reduction forward as much as possible. You know, of course, when we're shipping meals across the country, we also have to strive to really protect our client experience. But I'm excited about what's to come in the future there. And then nutrition at Sakara. So, you know, of course, a huge part of what we're offering to our clients is not just like vegan meals, plant-based meals, whatever you want to call it. It's really these nutritionally designed meals. So, you know, as I think Whitney always says this, but an Oreo is vegan, but it doesn't mean you're getting any nutritional value. So, you know, a huge part of this begins at the R&D phase, and is really anchored in this nutrition philosophy that Whitney and Danielle developed on their journey, to kind of figuring out what worked in their own bodies. So these are our Sakara 9 pillars of nutrition. And when we're creating menus, this really serves as our roadmap to say, like, is this meal living up to these pillars, like all these 9 pillars? Like, which is it spiking on? Like, where do we need to give more love? And, you know, as Azeezah was saying earlier on her journey, I think so many people have these concerns around eating plant-based and how will I get protein? Like, you know, what is the fat content? And I think a lot of these pillars emerge from just trying to like kind of cut through like a lot of the vagueness of nutrition labels and quite frankly, like a lot of the misleading information that you get through just, you know, consumer labeling and even nutrition panels themselves, and try and really distill it down to these 9 truths. So, no calorie counting is huge for us. And I think a lot of this, ultimately stems from Danielle's journey through crash dieting and like really working her way through eating disordered eating and body image. And I think it's a big part of our mission is really like trust us and focus on like getting the nutrients you need. And it's actually like eating enough, like eating enough of these nutrients to like feel good and to fuel your body. It shouldn't be about limitation. Plant protein. So I'll share a little bit more, a more detailed snapshot, but making sure our meals are loaded with plant protein. And I think there's so much misinformation about plant protein, like, cauliflower, for example, is a complete protein, has all 9 amino acids. Quinoa is a complete protein. Hemp seeds are a complete protein. So there's so many of these really like pretty accessible, like rich sources of protein. And we try and just like scatter them throughout all our meals, and make sure that you're getting your complete fill. Eat your water. So, hydration shouldn't just be coming from, a bottle of water that you have on your desk. If you're eating food that's like at the core dehydrating you, there's nothing that bottle of water is going to do to break through that. You have to get your hydration through the foods you're eating. And closely linked to that is greens. Eating your greens is the best thing you can do for your gut health. And so our meals an average day of Sakara, you're getting 6 cups of greens, which if you picture, those little plastic containers of greens that you buy at the grocery store, that's one of those is less than the Sakara greens you're getting in one day. So you're just getting like this incredible powerhouse of greens every single day. Good fats. We are super, super particular about any of the fats or oils that we're putting into the food, and have like, exclusive vendor partnerships to make sure like all of our fats and oils have been like very heavily vetted, because again, like an area where there's just like so much misinformation about like what's healthy and what's not, and what's low fat and what's actually in all of that, and is like how processed is it. So another really important one, and again, like going back to no calorie counting, it's about like getting enough. And I think Whitney and Danielle talk about that a lot too, where it's like, sometimes with our food, they're like, it needs more fat. Like it needs like half an avocado, we need to be like filling up on this. This is our fuel. Eat the rainbow. So going back to the nutritional, the ingredients, like the diversity of ingredients we have, each color of the rainbow indicates some specific nutritional value. So whether it's like lycopene in tomatoes or chlorophyll in anything green, we really try. One, it's so much more wonderful to eat something beautiful. Like I think we eat with our eyes first. But again, like there's also the science behind it. Nutrient density. So this is again, like going back to just like the range of ingredients we're using, the diversity of ingredients we're using. Sulfur rich veggies, again, like one of the best things you can do for your gut health. So we use a ton of brassica vegetables, so Brussels sprouts, kale, cauliflower, all the good things, cabbage. And then body intelligence. I think this last piece is like, it's kind of opposite spectrum from calorie counting, and saying like, really like eat these foods that help you understand like what you need, listen to your body. I think when people are asking me how to eat Sakara, like I don't eat Sakara in a conventional way. Like sometimes I have my breakfast at 4 p.m. because like that's when I want, that little something sweet from like the muffin that we have on the menu. So I think there's huge truth in that too. And just like eating in a way that allows you to really kind of like listen to your body and understand what it's asking for. So this is a day on Sakara. So as you can see, 50 grams of plant protein. We're not falling short there. 6 cups of greens, which is an immense amount of greens. Sometimes they're cooked in our meals, so deceptively like small looking amount of greens, but it's actually just like, every meal is so packed with them. Fiber. So these are kind of these like really key things that most people, especially in the US, are super deficient in. I think fiber is one of the things that people statistically are the most deficient in American diets. And then like all the vitamins that are, you're getting not only through all of these kind of more conventional plant-based foods like, tomatoes and sweet potatoes and all these other things, but also through these really specially curated superfoods that we're putting into the meals, like ashwagandha, albizia. Like I've learned about so many new ingredients since I've started working at Sakara. And then wanted to share some other facets of what we're doing and a part of kind of our food process. So one really exciting thing for, especially, from my perspective, is working with outsiders for infusions of creativity into what we're doing. My brain can only think of so many meals. And so it's always really incredible to just like collaborate and get new ideas and new perspectives onto our menu. So over the years, we've done several partnerships. This year, I wanted to share the most recent partnerships from the summer and into the fall campaigns. So we partnered with Kiki Aranita, who is a Hawaiian chef, Pierre Thiam, who is an Ethiopian chef. He has a really popular restaurant in the city, and Tabitha Ye, who also has a restaurant in the city. And has trained really all over the world, but spent, I think, a big chunk of her career in Beijing. So these are always like such a cool way to just bring more diverse backgrounds and more diverse culinary experiences to our menu, and have been an exciting thing to introduce to our clients this year. Another offering we have is the level 2 detox, and it's exactly what it's called. It's this level 2 from our baseline Sakara fresh meals. And the idea is to really reset. I think when, even for people who are eating Sakara, like how do you just like fully reset? Like maybe you've fallen off the wagon a little bit over the summer or whatever it might be. So this is a really regimented, kind of like even more restricted than our normal menu. We're plant-based and gluten-free, but this program has no nightshades, no sweeteners, no nuts. Very strongly recommended for the full effects of the program is no caffeine, no alcohol. So it's a 5-day program to just like really start on ground zero. The only way, especially having worked in kitchens for a long period of time, that I was able to truly kick my caffeine habit was doing the level 2 detox and doing it full immersion. And I like hugely thank Sakara for that, because it's definitely helped with like my anxiety and everything else. But I think so much emerges when people do this and they kind of realize like these things in their life that they thought were serving them that actually weren't. And when you kind of strip all that noise away, it can really help you kind of identify those areas. And this is, I mean, another amazing part I think about this program is just the support from our client service team. It's obviously a challenging 5 days. And, you know, some days of it are easier than others. And our wellness team really like supports our clients through this process, helps them understand like any detox symptoms they're experiencing and everything else. And then I'll just quickly share a little bit about the life cycle of a meal at Sakara. So ideation phase, you know, as I shared, like this can come from a lot of different places, whether it's partnerships. Whitney and Danielle, the founders themselves, like are constantly sending me like Instagrams they come across, you know, like they're a huge source of inspiration and continue to be such a driving force behind the brand. Some are coming from my brain. I have 2 incredible R&D associates who are both hugely creative. A lot of the ideas come from our team. Our CS team is getting a ton of feedback from clients and feeds me ideas. And then really like the rigorous testing. And, you know, we're not just like testing these at a one-time batch or testing them only for clients. We also have to like go into the testing process, making sure that these are going to be scalable, that they can be executed across both kitchens and the ingredients can be sourced at our scale and everything else. Once we've kind of like, so that's one of the longer chunks of time because there can just be a lot that goes into that and a lot of complexity. And then the approval stage. So Whitney and Danielle, our founders, still have a really heavy hand in this process. And we're, you know, at the approval stage, we're really looking much more critically at the nutrition pillars, making sure we're hitting all these benchmarks, making sure that like visually it's hitting all the marks that we need it to hit. We don't have the benefit of plating onto a white plate. So we need the colors to pop. We need it to be like inspiring for our clients when they get it. And ultimately, you know, Whitney and Danielle are the final approval for a meal going on the menu. And then oftentimes there's some rework. So they may have feedback. We may like look at it with the production team and they say like, you know what, we thought we could do this. These elements are going to be really challenging. We need to go back and rethink those. And then scaling. So once it's locked in and good to go, then we test it at scale. We have to like make sure we can execute it before it hits the menu and our clients get it. And then we roll it out and it hits the menu. So a little bit more detail, internal retesting. We have an R&D kitchen here at the LIC production facility. We also do a lot of testing like in our production facility. It helps expose our team to the recipes early on. They also, I mean, we have such a talented kitchen team and they love seeing new material. So they're always excited about it. The menu configuration is, you know, of course, like we want to make sure each meal is anchored in nutrition, in our nutrition pillars and kind of balance, but also across the week, we want to make sure that's the case for our clients. And there's a ton of complexity there, in terms of really optimizing for the ideal menus. Sourcing the ingredients, which, you know, now as any of you who work in anything that touches supply chain, or if you're trying to buy a car right now or anything else, or do any construction, no, like supply chain is just an absolute nightmare across all industries. So now more than ever, this is a big one for us. Content creation. So all of our meals, our creative team does such an incredible job. We have such a talented creative team. All the imagery you saw through this presentation came from them, and what's behind Sarah right now and in the background was a billboard that they created. So they write these like beautiful, thoughtful kind of copy content for each of our meals to really help educate our clients, but also like make the meal an experience and kind of have this transportative effect. And they also capture all the beautiful imagery around all of our meals. And then it hits production and comes to our production facility here at LIC and on our West Coast to be rolled out for clients. So that was a lot of information, but thank you guys for listening, and yeah, would love to help answer any questions you might have.
Thank you so much, Tyler. So at this point, we're going to open it up for about 10 or 15 minutes of Q&A, as long as people really want to go, but being respectful of everyone's time. So you guys are welcome to unmute and ask questions or put them in the chat and we will get to them. I'm seeing one in the chat right now from Juliana. Does Sakara have a perspective in terms of number of meals to have per day and snacks? Maybe this is how the meal plans are designed.
Yeah, Sarah, do you want me to take that one, or do you want to take it?
Sorry, no, feel free, Tyler, to take that.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think standalone our meal program, like we stand behind it as like, if you eat this way, like you will see the effects and you will feel your best self. And like, not only that, but you will be getting all of these things that we talk about in our nutrition pillars. You will be getting enough healthy fats, you will be getting enough plant protein, if not slightly more than the recommended in some cases. So I think like our recommendation is really the 5BL breakfast, lunch, dinner program for clients. Not everybody's lifestyle is at our baseline, and we recognize that. We've definitely heard that loud and clear from our clients. So we have some really exciting stuff in our innovation pipeline for our products. We currently sell bars, we sell powders. Our metabolism super powder is one of our best sellers. We sell granolas, but we have some really exciting stuff in the pipeline in the next 3 months, and then even more so in the next year, to kind of make sure that clients who have our marathon runners or just need an even higher protein diet, like have access to the same quality kind of like supplemental products that are where we're like sourcing the same way. They're all organic. We kind of like can give them our stamp of approval. So at a baseline, yes, like our meal program is it. And like, there's a lot more. And I think like, to go back to body intelligence, like, I know that sometimes like, or some of our clients say like the Sakara meals are too big. Some of them say they're too small, like everybody's different. And so, I think that's another area where our wellness team and our client service team can really support to help people work through that and understand that. And again, why we're not just meal delivery, we're like an all-in service and kind of like have all these different components, because it's not that straightforward for everybody.
Great, thank you. I'm seeing some more come into the chat. So Rose Ann says, what are some examples of plant proteins other than legumes?
Well, some of the ones I mentioned earlier, like I think people are always shocked that cauliflower is a complete protein. So, I mean, a lot of plants have protein in them, but a complete protein means you have all 9 of the amino acids. So, I think traditionally a lot of people look to like dairy, eggs, like things like that, and think of those as like the only complete proteins. And actually there are a ton in the plant world. So a lot of times it's like unique combinations of plants as well. Like rice and beans is a very classic one. Like if you eat rice and beans together, you're getting your 9 amino acids and you're getting a complete protein. Nuts are an incredible source of protein. So for the vast majority of our clients who don't have nut sensitivities, like nuts and seeds are used all across our menu and pretty heavily, whether it's in dressings to kind of make a creamy dressing or as a garnish. So those are also a really, really rich source.
Awesome. We have another question from Devin. What are the top 2 or 3 performing recipes of the 173 mentioned? I'm also curious about this.
So our top 10 recipes are all our breakfasts. So our breakfasts are by far our client favorite meals. And I think like for a lot of people who are a little bit skeptical about the Sakara life and the Sakara way of eating, the breakfasts are a really good gateway because they're really accessible. They're really delicious. My husband like eats the Sakara breakfast like before I can even get them in the fridge. We have like our protein waffles, and our chocolate love muffin is another top one, our avo cacao pudding. So I will say like a lot of our top meals tend to have chocolate in them, cacao in them. You know, those are always the favorites, but definitely our breakfast for sure.
That's so interesting. And cacao sounds so good. And Lisa asked, what are your top recommendations for good fats?
Yeah, so we, I think well, I'll say a couple of things. One, I think really looking critically at the cooking oils that you're using is the best place to start. Making sure they're organic and making sure that they're cold pressed. So we use cold pressed olive oil, cold pressed coconut oil. The processing of most cooking oils is what destroys all the nutritional value and can actually make them quite toxic. So, you know, most like off the shelf, just like canola oil are just like really not good for you. So it's definitely an investment. And I feel like, you know, that was like one of the biggest shifts in my own home cooking. And it's a big like dollar shift when you ring up your grocery bill. But switching to a really healthy salt, like we use Himalayan salts only exclusively, which is pink Himalayan salt, which is packed with minerals and vitamins. So your body just processes it so differently from certainly regular table salt. But oil's the same thing, like any, like spending that extra money on good, clean oils. I think, I mean, when I go out to eat now, like I can tell the oils they cook with, because that's the first thing I feel in my body. And eating like, you know, foods that have been cooked in canola oil, like I know right afterwards because I feel it. I feel the effects.
This is a quick follow-up. Kate asked, do you have brands of olive oil you recommend?
Yeah, one of the brands that we've worked with at Sakara is Zoe organic olive oil. But I mean, I think that starting organic and cold pressed is a really just like the best starting point. You know, we work with, I would say about 90% of the oil that we use is olive oil. So that's like the one I'm focusing on. But I think really understanding like where the oil's sourced from, like a lot of oils are blends and they're, you know, pulling from oils from all over the place. So I think those are the three things to kind of look into when you're trying to figure out what to buy. And again, like it's super overwhelming. Like there are a million oils in the grocery store, and luckily, you know, Google is our friend, and you can pretty quickly like get some baseline information. But I think sticking with organic and cold pressed is definitely the best place to start.
We have a question from Emily, more specifically about the Sakara plan itself. And she was asking whether it's designed for athletes and elevating their performance. And then also like how long would it take to see results, and how strictly do you have to stick to it? And I know that Sarah was talking a bit kind of about the philosophy, like the 80-20 philosophy. So that's probably part of it.
Yeah, do you want me to take that one, Tyler?
Yeah, Sarah, you take that one.
Okay. So Emily, that is a great question. We definitely, you know, have several athletes who have done Sakara, who are on Sakara, you know, everyone from NFL players, you know, to just, you know, marathon runners, triathletes, people who just work out a lot in general day to day. So it really runs the gamut. I think it really boils down to this idea that like every body is different. And so it really is just so important to pay attention to your individual body's needs. So as Tyler said, you know, Sakara provides this baseline. We're not kind of a custom program, so to speak, like it's one set meal program. And that meal program is designed to give your body what it needs for optimal function and performance. That being said, obviously everyone is different. And so we really encourage you to go, to listen to your body, tap into that body intelligence. We find people who have very active lifestyles find that the program supports them really well, thanks to the nutrient density of the meals, and that they feel very satisfied. That being said, though, there are certainly people who feel like they need to supplement, and so we definitely say, look, if you're still feeling hungry after you're eating the meal, have something in addition, or perhaps, if you eat meat, grill some chicken or have some fish that you have alongside your Sakara meal. So kind of whatever works for you. Although that being said, there are plenty of people who do find that the program really satiates them very nicely, and they don't need to do any additional supplementation. So, it's hard because, everyone is so different, but I would say, at the end of the day, that you're flooding your body with these really superfood or really nutrient dense, superfood rich foods. That's, kind of, we like to think of it almost as like a multivitamin for the day, where you're just getting these good nutrients. And then if you need to adapt as necessary based on your body's needs, we encourage you by all means to do so, even if that means potentially incorporating some animal protein, if needed. Emily, I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you. I put a little joke in the chat.
Oh, our Tom Brady is on the meal plan. Oh my gosh. Well, that was awesome.
Joke. But maybe not.
I know. Well, that would be so great. I know they have a crazy diet. They are, but it is amazing how many athletes are plant-based. There are a lot of, these top athletes out there who are solely plant-based, ultra marathon runners. So yeah, you definitely get all that you need from plants. You can be powered by plants.
Thanks a lot.
Sorry to interrupt you, Emily. Yeah, I think Brady's diet's crazy too. Huli asked a really interesting question too, like for people who love to cook, what would you recommend? Like if you're interested in trying out Sakara, but you still love to cook and it's therapeutic, like how do you guys work around that?
Yeah, I can actually answer that one unless anyone else too. So Sakara Life has a 10-day reset plan, and it's a box which has it has like the chlorophyll drops, the beauty drops, a few of the energy bars, and like a book of recipes that you can make for like 10 days, hence 10-day reset. It also has detox tea. I actually did it during quarantine because we were not able to get any overtime meals at my firm anymore because we weren't allowed to get them delivered to our homes. So even though we were working late, all of a sudden we all had to like cook. And I was like, okay, so this is actually a good time to try out the 10-day reset. And I found it to be super easy because they even give you a grocery list and they break it up by week so you don't front load and buy everything at the beginning and then things spoil. So, and they even break it up by like fresh ingredients versus dry ingredients. So like certain ones you may already have in your pantry, or you can just kind of keep them in your pantry. And then the other ones, you can kind of keep in mind like, oh, I have this fresh ingredient that I want to eat. And I thought it was pretty easy in terms of execution. I feel like even if you're not a very accomplished chef, you could still cook everything and, enjoy it and do that. I had a really great result in terms of like, I felt amazing after. So I thought that was really cool.
We also have a cookbook. So at a much lower price point. Thank you for sharing, Juliana. So a lot of really good starter recipes in there. And I think like a good range of really entry level, like super easy to execute recipes, and also some like more challenging, interesting, recipes. Bought it used, love it. So that's another good place to start, I would say.
And I think we'll probably start wrapping it up now because I know it is 7, but at the very beginning of the presentation, Kate asked a question about the meals that have 2 to 3 cups of greens in them, and if there are any examples of those kind of meals.
Yeah, well, close to like 2/3 of our meals hit that metric, because it's really, 95% of our lunches and dinners. So we of course have a lot of salads on our menu. That's just the reality of the way our menu functions, but we definitely try to find creative ways to give people their greens. Greens can make it into breakfast. So we'll puree greens into like the coconut yogurt for a parfait. We use in a lot of like our bowl dishes, like we do some grain bowls and noodle bowls. We'll do some cooked greens, or maybe, like some sauteed, like chopped bok choy. So we like try to use a really wide range of greens. So you're not just getting like mixed grains every single day for every single meal. But we're always kind of trying to think of like different formats to present them to our clients in. One of our client favorites is a take on a samosa, and we saute spinach and put it inside the samosa. So greens are showing up everywhere across our menu, and it would definitely be hard to avoid greens eating Sakara.
Well, that is awesome. And thank you all so much for attending. And thank you to our presenters for all of your insights. I thought that they were great. And everyone keep a lookout in your inbox tomorrow. I'm going to share the discount code for Sakara. We additionally have created a little graphic of about 20 or so plant-based restaurants and cafes in New York City. So if you're interested in going out to eat and trying some plant-based eating, look out for that. So nice to see you all. And again, keep an eye out on our calendar. We're going to have more events coming up in the next few weeks and months. Bye, everybody.